What's up guys, this is Astranox. In this Path of Exile 2 video, I want to show the build of my Sorceress in Hardcore. So what I like about this build is that you can just charge in a pack and your AoE, your attack, hits everyone, right? And it also has some survivability increase like features, right? So that's the skill. Let me get in there. So you can see how big the AoE is. It's pretty ridiculous, right? And I'm gonna show how I made it work and why it's so good. Because I was using some lightning, spells. I was using some fire spells, and really it wasn't that good. But then when I switched to this, right, I was like, yo, let me try this out. Like, this is an AoE. It deals physical damage, bone cage. What if I can overlap the AoEs so the enemy can be hit 2 or potentially 3 times, because sometimes you're fighting like bosses that are very big or targets that are very big, so you're gonna be able to just get a lot more value out of that. So yeah, bone cage. Let me show you guys why this thing is pretty busted. So I'm only level 32, right? I'm in Act 2. I don't know how far I'm at. This is a blind playthrough. I've never played Path of Exile. The game is ridiculously good. I wish I actually started playing before. It was the free weekend. I was like, yo, finally I'll try it. I'll try it. And I think, they got the game to a point where, I'm gonna have a really good time. And I definitely am. And this is hardcore. I have not lost any character. I tried a lot of different classes, but when I got on the Sorceress, I was hooked. So, okay, and actually I was using the lightning staff before Earthbound, and I have multiple copies at different levels. It worked out alright. I made it work pretty well, but then when I switched to this, that was a whole other level. Okay, so as you can see, my resistances are pretty good. Decent armor as well. The life, the energy shield, right? It's solid. I like to have life plus energy shield. And the equipment that I have, so nothing insane to be honest, but actually this weapon is pretty sweet. So I'm stacking like plus physical spell skills, right? Plus spell damage, plus spell physical damage, and whatever you can get on top of that, that's great. Some mana regen, not that big of a deal. It does help, but you want to one with mana drain. Mana drain is big because with mana drain you can just bring your mana back up. It's pretty crazy. So mana drain, it's level 8 with the skill up of my amulet, but yeah, mana drain gives you 108 mana back over time, but it happens quick, and you can just use that thing back to back. You don't even have to use your mana flask. Let's say you're in a boss, you can just drain the boss, right? And then you can use your mana flask in a like, oh shit situation, right? You could save it for that. So bone cage, it's insane. It's level 11 because I have plus 3 from my equipment. So 94 to 140 physical damage. Hits are pinning. So the enemy, you will see the gameplay. I'll go in there. So it's pinning the monsters, so the survivability increase. It's making you better to survive because the monsters cannot move. So you're able to kite monsters. You're able to just go in a massive pack and feel comfortable because you're dealing damage to everyone, but you're also pinning them so the melee monsters cannot surround you. And one of the deadliest thing for me when I was playing like more of like a lightning single target build was that when you get surrounded and you're mostly using like it's an AoE but it's very small area, so I would get surrounded and it would be very dangerous, right? But with this skill you feel very comfortable. Pins enemies as though dealing 50% more damage. So you're dealing more damage on top of that, 94 to 140. I mean, like, this scales based on your, gem level plus your gear. And the cage radius is 1.8 meters. I've increased that. Explosion radius is 1 meter. Cage duration is 1.6 seconds. So the duration doesn't seem that long, but when you're in a battle, things happen very fast, and 1.6 seconds is actually very long because you're just spamming that and you're like on the go as you're moving. So melee monsters really cannot deal with you properly. So let me just finish with the equipment here. So, okay, the helm, I've put runes everywhere. That's how I fix my resistances or get a bit of spell damage. But really, the runes, they're pretty nice. In Act 2, I'm starting to get quite a bit more in Act 2. And actually, this zone is a place that I farmed a bit because this is a 27 zone and I'm 32 already because this zone gives a lot of experience. There's a lot of monsters. So I was like, let me farm this place, right? Before, you know, I make the video. So yeah, the weapon, very big. Mana drain is massive. So try to get yourself a wand with mana drain. To be honest, the spell damage is not that big of a deal. If I had to redo it again, yes, the plus skill are big. The mana regen is like so-so, but I would say that cast speed is actually big. If I could, I'd get cast speed everywhere and I'd put a higher priority on that over spell damage. But the problem is that you kind of want to like balance it out, because if you go too much on cast speed and you don't have that much spell damage, then each of your casts are not dealing that much damage, and then your mana is getting depleted, and then you gotta kind of like do that mana drain a lot more than you. I mean, you're gonna see when I play how often I have to use it, but I have a pretty thick mana pool of 327, right? So my armor, you know, really nothing crazy. I would say that my main hand, my offhand, they're, yeah, actually they're not, no, it's not that good. So you want to get some armor and energy shield on your chest, your body armor, on your helm. You want to get some energy shield on your offhand. I would prefer to run an offhand instead of a staff for hardcore, because then you can get some better, you know, a thicker ES pool. More energy shield is actually big to survive in hardcore if you can get that cushion. And what I really like about the energy shield is that, to be honest, I don't get out of my energy shield often at all. If it starts to reach my life, that means like stuff is pretty dangerous, right? But my shield, I like to run with, you know, a nice amount of shield, because you don't have to spam potions all the time, right? So that's actually very big. And the build is really good because the energy shield recharge is happening very fast, and I really like that. The sorceress has these nodes early on in the tree, and it's making the gameplay so much smoother. So real quick, these, right? Yeah, if I think if I can get one to remove freeze, that'd be big. Because sometimes you're getting to like a strong box or something like that, like a box, and you identify it and it says it's gonna freeze you. So if you have like, you know, a charm, I think it's available in the game, and freeze, I don't think it's count as stunned, or maybe it does. So I'm gonna have to do some testing, or maybe not, because I don't want to lose my character to hardcore, right? So that's the gear. Like I said, it's nothing crazy. Now, okay. The skill real quick. So mana drain's a big deal, right? The more cast speed you have, the less mana you have, the more you're gonna use that mana drain, right? So yeah, the bone cage is nice, and vulnerability is helpful to deal more damage. Definitely helpful, because you are reducing the total armor of the target, which means they are taking, well, more physical damage, because this is physical damage reduction, and your bone cage is doing physical damage, right? So the vulnerability is actually very nice. I actually fought a boss where the boss was armored and I was dealing very little damage with physical. So yeah, I didn't have the vulnerability set up yet, and that was rough, because I had to take the boss down using Orb of Storms and some fireballs. So that's another thing. Even if you run Bone Cage, you want to run some other spells of other elements, because maybe you're fighting a target or a boss that is nearly immune or takes very little damage from physical. So at least have two elements. But I would say, like, if you're in hardcore, I think you can't even leave any fight. Like, when the fight starts, that's it. You're locked in, right? So if you don't want to lose your character, definitely run more than one element, especially early game, because like maybe later on you have some physical penetration or something like that, and it doesn't matter. You can just face roll, right? But yeah, the vulnerability is actually a big deal. I'll be showing the support gem in a moment. So the Orb of Storms, I was using that heavily before with the lightning build, and I was like, you know, like I can just like drop it and it will passively do its thing while I'm doing damage with like Fireball if I have to use another, you know, skill. But it's really, you go with whatever you prefer to play with, right? But I just use that because I was testing those skills before. Either I was using or I was testing them. So I was like, you know what, I'll just, you know, keep rolling with that, and that's it. And actually, you want to make them deal more single target damage. So instead of like boosting how big the AoE is, make it, focus it so the single target damage is better, because you're going to be in a situation like a 1v1 situation, you versus the boss, you versus a rare that you don't deal much damage with physical. Let's say, I don't know, maybe vulnerability like is enough and physical is going to be great. But let's say before you even get vulnerability, run more than just, you know, that bone cage. So the supports, so here I just have rapid casting for a bit more cast speed. To be honest, like it's not even that big of a deal. The mana drain just by itself is plenty. Bone cage, so I'm running spell echo, so it's basically casting it again, and there is a delay. I don't know how long the delay is, but yeah, it's cool to have. It's kind of like pushing the duration a bit further, like a bit longer, because like if the second one comes in a bit later, then, you know, the duration of the last one will be longer than the first one. And the spell cascade, so that is allowing you to have it cast on each side on a random direction. So you can see it makes it so much bigger. It's not just the central one, the center one. Look at that. So it's random, but when you're charging in a pack, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna be hitting something, right? And the sweet spot would be to kind of like overlap. Yeah, you guys are seeing my cursor. Wherever it overlap, that'd be the sweet spot. The problem is that it's random, so that's the thing. Against big bosses, it will be happening, right? You're gonna be hitting it twice. But one thing you want to do is, let's say you're going in a boss fight. I was thinking that what if instead of running like the magnified area, well, I'll just use the concentrated effect, the concentrated area, maybe it's called. Yeah, you would run that, and then it would make it smaller, so there's more chance that you're hitting 2 or maybe 3 times the same target. But actually, it's gonna be like a 6 hit because you're running spell echo. So the damage here, the DPS doesn't seem that high, is because I'm running spell echo, and it's actually reducing. Wait, isn't it reducing the damage? So 309. Yeah, you see, 441, and then spell cascade 630. So if you want to see how much DPS it's dealing with all these things, yeah, 630. Now the spell echo is basically doing like 2 casts, and it's not cutting it in half, so I would say that's a win, right? You have less cast speed, so let's say I take it off, right? Maybe you don't run spell echo. Okay, it feels pretty nice, and it's making the circles, like it makes the area smaller as well, right? So like if you're trying to overlap, that might be easier. But as soon as you put it in, the area is getting bigger. So yeah, it's really like how you prefer it, right? But I like the massive AoE because sometime if you get lucky, you might hit the enemy in front of you, right? Like let's say, like you can see that it reaches, look at that, like that's quite a bit, like it's pretty far, right? And the support gems are not even leveled like high yet. This is like a low level. So later on, and if you get some increased AoE some other places, I don't know, maybe you can get it on your gear, or you can get some from your passive tree, then like you might be able to reach like the whole screen. It's just that cascade really put it in a random direction. I'm not really in a good position to show it properly, and yeah, because sometimes the pillar seems to be stopping, or it just doesn't show it because it's in the shadow. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, okay, let's move on here. So you guys saw the equipment, right? Nothing crazy. You guys saw the skills here. You guys saw my stats, and you can see here my energy shield, 2.16 second recharge delay. Now there's some boosts that you can run with no level requirement. I have them in my stash. I forgot their name, but they have 100% you know, energy shield, like recharge start, recharge delay, like, yeah, reduction. So basically initially it's 4 seconds. The boost bring it to 3 seconds, but I have so many passive selected in my passive tree that it's now 2.16 second. And like if I put the boots on, which I've tried, it did bring this thing down. It's not a big difference because it's not like all multiplicative, right? Like the more you put, there's a diminishing return, so it's not gonna bring it to 1.08 second. It's gonna be more like 1.8 second or 1.7 second. I feel comfortable with close to 2 second. Like it starts recharging, and it's really nice, and that's your buffer, and you don't have to chug potions, and you feel very safe in hardcore with that. So the passive tree, so the sorceress, you know, she starts here, all right? She starts here, and I've noticed that she has a lot of the, what I really like is she has a lot of the energy shield recharges nodes, like at the start and near her. So like later on, this is an like early level build, but later on I'll be grabbing more and I'll be focusing on more damage. But right now really it's about survivability, and I feel good about the damage, right? So you can see that yeah, here we go, 10% spell damage, 10% spell damage, 8, and then big one, 20% with 10 intelligence. So the intelligence is nice because intelligence gives you mana. So that's why I'm up to 327. Yes, I have mana from my gear, but I'm getting a lot of it because of my intelligence. So because you can see I have 60 intelligence, so that's 120 mana. Okay, that's not even half of how much I have. I guess my gear is giving me quite a bit of it. So got 27 here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Okay. 13. Nothing. 15. So I believe that as you level, the biggest chunk of mana you're getting is from leveling. So yeah, this node. And then I didn't go here initially. So that's the thing. When you cannot reach a big node, what you can do is work on some of the ones that will help you immediately, right? And then just respec them, because you can respec with gold and it's not even expensive. So if you feel like you want to use like mana drain more often, then you don't need that much mana regeneration. So you can go for more nodes with energy shield, more nodes with you know, like spell damage, or things that will be useful for the build. Maybe these could be nice, right? But some damage will bypass the energy shield, which like maybe with life regeneration you do get some value out of that, so it's fine. These are pretty thick amount of energy shield nodes, right? 15%. And then like if you have like a sick helmet, like that could be big, right? But if your helmet is garbage for ES, then maybe not that big. Sometimes light radius, you like that. ES here, there's ES here, there's ES hybrid here with movement and armor. That's actually pretty nice. It's really good to get armor because that's physical damage reduction. If you're gonna go right in the packs and AoE like a madman, then like you still need some physical, you know, damage reduction, because yeah, you don't want to get, you know, deleted in a pack. So if you go with evasion and max HP, that could be good, right? Like this hybrid node is pretty solid. I mean, reduce effect of curses on you, that's big. So I could eventually transition into something like that, but then you need dex on your gear. You need dex when you pick up all these stat nodes. You're gonna have to select some dex nodes, but it's fine. You can just respec point and fix your build, so that's perfectly fine. So for hardcore, of course, a lot of energy shield. Wow, maximum life converted to... that would be crazy. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Is that just that one? Whoa, okay. That one is massive. 5%. Because like this is giving flat ES, which scales off of your maximum ES boosts. And then later on, of course, you can transition into some crit, right? Because I think the skill has some big crit. Like 15% crit base. Are you kidding? 15 is big. Like 7 on Fireball. There's only 10 here on this, and I think a lot of the skills are like 10 or lower, but 15 is huge. So that's going to be amazing to scale. And that will lead to some big damage. Big damage. So later on, I'm definitely going to transition into that. But I got to be done with the story without losing the character, because this is a blind playthrough. And I've never played Path of Exile 2, but I've played like pretty much every ARPG that exists that's worth your, your time. Okay, so the build, right? I went with the cast speed. This I got later. It's just temporary. I'm going to spec out of these, but this cast speed is big. The maximum ES, the int, maximum ES, as well as faster start of energy shield recharge. That is massive for hardcore, especially if you can get that thing to 2 seconds or maybe less later on, of course. Huge, because like between packs, you get your ES back up real quick, and then you're ready for the next pack. You don't have to use potion. You don't have to worry nothing about that, right? So get some max ES, get faster start of energy shield recharge. But initially, like you could go more into damage if you feel comfortable and then spec out of it, and then when you want survivability, you can go this route that I went with, right? So after that, you get some energy shield recharge rate, because that's important as well. You want your ES to recharge fast, so like 2 seconds. The thing is, a lot of time you're pinning monsters with the bone cage, and you're buying enough time for that energy shield to start recharging. That is big, very big. So I love that. So you get that, and then you get a massive maximum ES boost right there, and you get some other stuff for not getting like ailment often and getting stunned, and energy shield recharge rate. Here, I mean, it's up to you if you want the mana regeneration rate. It's pretty costly, especially this is a 3 socket, but then when you go into 4 socket or more, it's gonna be very heavy on the mana consumption, especially with a lot of cast speed. Faster start of energy shield recharge, beautiful. And here, that one is crazy actually. Rapid recharge is great. Faster start of energy shield recharge. To be honest, like I would go this path here initially. I would go faster start, which is what I've done, and this one hybrid because it's so good. And again, faster start, and then I mean, might as well for 1 point. I mean, 20 mana and 20% mana regeneration, very nice, right? And then this side, it's later. You go here, boom, get intelligence if you need it. If not, you can go strength or maybe dex if you need for your gear. And then like you get a bunch of maximum ES here, right? Some mana regen, so some free mana regen as well. Why not? So you might not want to go for like the pure mana regen, but then when you get a hybrid, it's free. Let's go. Great. Percentage increase of intelligence is pretty sweet. And that means like that's even more mana, right? So that side is actually big. Like 40% increased mana, maximum energy shield, massive. And then when you want to get some crit, look at that. You got some crit. Wait, yeah, you can get some crit very easily. It's right here for later on. So there you go. Yeah, I went here because I want some more damage, and the reduced cast speed is fine, right? Like, I mean, like the faster you cast, because you just need to have it down, because you will see when I play, if you put it down and the monster charge into it, and the AI is not like trying to dodge that thing. They're just, going for you like, you know, like their life depends on it, like they're just going after you, they're chasing you. So they'll get into your bone spike and get pinned, and they'll be stuck and they'll take the damage, right? So that's amazing. That's actually amazing. So you go there. So very early build. You go this way first, let's say, and then you will need 3 points because before you get into these. So yeah, there's some good stuff here. This is similar to the Templar side in PoE1, right? So even more hybrid here. Armor, max ES. So the thing is, the value, actually, the build, I would head kind of like this way here, down into here, because you're not only getting max energy shield and armor, you're also getting, you know, all these, or I guess they're called notable, or like, yeah, they're like the medium ones, like the big one, let's say. So you're getting all these, right? You can get some mana regen. You can get bigger AoE here. So that's actually big. Like more damage, crit, stats, and then yeah, I need to, you know, level up and work on the build, but you know, there's a lot of different ways you can build your character. If you need more damage, you know, go for more, you know, spell damage. Go for more, you know, crit. If you're in softcore, you can do that. You go cast speed, spell damage, crit, and you're gonna do even better, of course. But like even in softcore, you want to not go down easy because, well, I mean, it's a waste of time if you just like keep dying on a boss or something like that, right? But really, the safety of the build, I mean, I can't recommend it enough. It's really great. So yeah, that's the passive, right? I went over the skills, I went over the equipment. So that's pretty much it, and I went over the supports, and of course, like, there's going to be a lot of different supports that you can run. So actually, so the supports, right, for the, like I said, you could increase your AoE, or you could concentrate it so it's easier to make spell cascade, you know, double hit or even triple hit on the bigger monsters. And I believe that there's a wand that makes it so your physical damage, I think, can bleed, and I believe it would work with spells. So I believe that could work. Maybe not in the hardcore, because from what I remember, the unique wand makes it so you use a portion of your life when you cast. So with a lot of cast speed, it's going to be sketchy, I think, unless you have some good regen. So that's why I didn't go for it. But that one doesn't come with the mana drain from what I remember. So that's another thing. Okay, so let me show you guys the build in action, because yeah, I mean, let's just see it. Alright, so you will understand why this thing is so good. It's because you see, they can't move. They're pinned, right? And you cast it away. Like, they just run into it. Like the AI is not trying to avoid these things, right? I don't know why, but when the content is not that hard where I'm at, I like to just start zooming in. It just looks so nice. I mean, Path of Exile 2 looks completely, like, so good. Ridiculously good. Those textures, the biomes, the music, the sound effects. Oh yeah, okay, so you want to see some pure destruction. Now, okay, look at this. Like, look. Wait, they're not even out yet. Look at that. Look how easy it is. Like, okay, you see this one? Look at my mana, right? Okay, I will show it again. You can get your mana back really easily with the mana drain, right? I'll show you how quick that thing is. It's pretty ridiculous. Just a habit. Okay. first I have to use my mana. So I don't know, it might annoy some people if I'm zoomed in too much. I like it. Okay, you see my mana is low. I'm just consuming it on purpose. And then, okay, here. Look at that. Look at how fast it is. And you can just keep doing it. So that mana drain is massive on a 1. You should definitely get that. It's just going to make your life so much easier. And you can see I'm just going in there like very easily doing damage. And then, yes, of course, you can mana, you can drain them, and then you could curse them, and then you could deal more damage to them, right? Look at that. He got busted. He got popped. So yeah, it's really great what you're able to do. So here, let me show you how it feels. Sometimes you can mana drain before you go in there. Now here versus like this encounter here. Here, there's more. Let's go in there. Look at that. It's no problem. It's no problem. You can just charge in there. You might have been playing a build that's very rough to deal with AoE, or it's not doing damage. It doesn't feel so safe. You mana drain, and then you go in there. Like, you're not gonna have mana problems. Look at that. On the way, you mana drain. Boom, you go in there. Decimate everything. It's insane. Alright, again, mana drain. Look how comfortable it feels. Do you see my energy shield not really getting depleted even because, well, I'm not really getting hit. Because the beauty about the build is that you don't have to target. You can just walk as you cast, which means you're able to avoid a lot of range attacks. A lot of attacks, especially the melee ones, because, I mean, they can't even hit you if you're kiting them around. And they're melee, you're just pinning them, so it's really no problem. And pinning them makes you able to just recharge your energy shield so often. There's just so many opportunities where it's gonna happen. I didn't get that cash, did I? Anyways, I'll pad back after. No, I did. I got that orb, I think. Yeah, so I feel way more comfortable playing this build than doing what I was doing before with Lightning Thunder. It's basically a single target attack. I was in the struggles big time. It was definitely rough. I didn't feel comfortable at all. When I got surrounded by monsters, it could really spiral out of control because the Orb of Storm, you know, not doing enough AoE, and the staff that I was using Earthbound, yes, you have to down someone for the spark to start to cast from you, and it does cost mana. Look at that. Look at the massacre. Yeah, okay, I'm over leveling the zone, but like the zone is just good to farm, so I'm in here, right? I've been doing it for a while, and now of course the experience is not that good anymore, but yeah, I will show the build and, you know, tougher content later. It's just, you know, I was just farming some levels, some currency here. As you can see, no problem. No problem. Yeah, so I mean, I want to do some more testing. I want to improve the build, and I want to really try to push the limit with this build. Now in hardcore, I might not be able to like straight away go crazy with crit, right? On my passives, go crazy with crit, power charge, you know, support gems for the crit, the equipment, the crit, because I have to worry about surviving the content, especially not having knowledge about the game for what's to come with the boss battles and all that in hardcore. And it seems like you can't chicken out of a fight. Like, you leave the game, when you come back, you're back in the boss. You can't teleport out of the zone. So I think like you're pretty much done for if you go in a battle that you can't deal with. So thankfully, when I was fighting that boss and my bone cage was dealing barely any damage, it was like tickling the boss. It dealt like not even 1%. It was like very little. Maybe it got countered by his regen or something. And I didn't have vulnerability. Thankfully, I had lightning damage and fire damage to deal with the boss because he was armored and I couldn't deal damage to him with this thing. So that was rough. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what you guys think about this build. Are you playing something, you know, like Bone Cage, or you're playing something else that, you know, that's like Bone Base that deals physical damage? Let us know what you guys think about all that in the comments section. I'm Astranox. Good luck with all ya do. Peace out for now.